All right, good evening, Facebook. We are Frantic Romantic coming to you live with Hanging with the Friends, episode number 5. Tonight, we are featuring Jerry Lozano from The Trims, from Chilindrina. Jerry, welcome. Thank you.
Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, welcome, Jerry.
Right on, man. This is super cool. I'm a big fan of The Trims. You guys have a cool sound. I dig what you do with Chilindrina.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your projects, man?
So I guess start with Chilindrina, since that's kind of mine and my wife's like baby, basically. We started this project probably about 5 years ago, but actually it started even before that. We had a band called Casting Circles, which is a little bit more kind of in the dream pop.
Yeah.
I guess.
You guys had somebody that was close to us in Casting Circles, I believe, right? Or you were working with Amy Griego, or was that beforehand?
So even before we started Casting Circles, we met up with her about possibly, working together with her.
Yeah.
I don't remember what happened. Like, I remember we met and then we exchanged some emails, and then I think I just stopped hearing from her or something. And so yeah, I just figured she moved on, found something else. So
Oh wow.
moved on, and yeah, from there we put out a little EP. We did a West Coast tour, and then pretty much after we came back from that, it kind of became apparent between our singer, who was basically the songwriter, and then I kind of was that kind of played the role of producer. We kind of were starting to kind of creatively, going in different directions.
Right.
And I think
right.
it was kind of more wanted to just focus on other projects aside from just being music anyway. So me and my wife Gloria Martinez, we continued with Chilindrina. We found three new people. We became a 5-piece, which previously we were a 4-piece. We did a bunch of shows. We did also a West Coast tour. We did a 5-song EP on a cassette.
I saw that. It was like that's awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. People actually were into it. People are more into that than they actually were in CDs. I think there's kind of like a value to it, because it's harder to duplicate like a cassette, I guess.
Oh, right.
There's kind of more like a CD.
Yeah.
You can just burn it, throw the freaking disc away,
Well, unless I go to my uncle's house and I use his double deck tape.
Right. I
Then
still
you gotta
have one of
watch
those
out,
in my
dude. I'll
storage
bootleg
unit.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome, though, man.
We're still alive. We're still going today. Obviously, the current events have kind of kept us from continue on with our original plans. We just finished recording a 4-song EP. We were in the middle of deciding how we were going to release this before the world basically stopped.
Yeah.
So we're sitting on an EP. We have plans to do another tour. Yeah, and that actually, and through that through Chilindrina is kind of how I got introduced to the Trims. Obviously we already knew who they were from years previous.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that apparently Gabe, singer Gabe, had kind of had his eye on me. He kind of we follow each other on the socials and stuff, and
Yeah.
We're always liking, commenting, sharing stuff with each other. And then just one day out of the blue, they hit me up. I guess so I don't know if you're aware of the band. They had a little side project, Moonlights.
Yeah.
And
right, Gabe had that, right?
Yeah, it was Gabe, and actually at the time, bass player Dave. He's no longer with us, but
right. You guys got Frank playing with you guys now, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So at the time, it was Dave, and Dave actually reached out and hit me up and asked if I wanted to try out for Moonlights. So
cool.
Obviously I jumped on the chance. I thought it was an exciting opportunity. Tried out with them, and then after a few practices, I pretty much learned their set. And then Gabe comes to me one day and he's like, actually, I think at first he tells me, pretty much Moonlights is done. And at first I'm thinking I I learned all these songs and
Yeah.
what's happening now. And then he's like, so, but what we're going to do is we're just basically going to consolidate the best songs from Moonlight set and just put it in with the trims. And he's basically like, so do you want to play with the trims? I'm like, of course. Yeah. Why not? So yeah, that's how I ended up in the trims.
So how different were the two sounds of the bands before you meshed them together? Because I was, I'm listening to some of your music, and what was it? Dying Just to See You There. Or no, I'm sorry, Dying Just to See Your Face. I think it's real like kind of 50s.
Yeah. Kind of has a Beatles,
which is really cool. And then you go into Bending Time. You definitely sort of got an 80s way to it. And then even up on, what was the last one I heard was The Breeze, a very indie sound. So you guys have a really great spectrum of sounds in that. So I'm curious the difference in those two bands before you meshed them together.
So Moonlights was kind of a result of, so Gabe kind of has his own little, like he does his like poetry, spoken word type project. And I think from there it kind of sparked, like he wanted to, create music to go with the lyrics. And the members of the Trims at the time, just from what he was telling me, it seemed like they were very collaborative. It was a very collaborative process in the writing back then, which is great. But he was kind of finding that he wanted to add more, kind of like he had more songs that were like ideas that were already complete. And I think at the time the members were kind of more like, we want to all basically create things all at once.
He wanted to showcase his writing, right? Like strictly just his writing. That makes sense.
Yeah. So he just kind of like split off on his own with Moonlights, and I don't remember if Dave was the bass player at that. This is before I was in the band. Dave was the bass player at the time, but I think it was him and Dave. They split off and they started Moonlights. So that was kind of the collaboration between them two. And then yeah, when the other members left and then I joined and then everything consolidated, basically, yeah, like how everything meshed together. I think Moonlights has kind of more of a very kind of synth heavy sound. And the Trims has that as well, but you could tell it's a little bit more prominent in the Moonlights. But now, since everything's kind of meshed together, we're gonna hear that a little bit more as well. But we're definitely keeping the rock, and keeping the indie sound as well.
So what are some of your personal influences?
So
because like I said, you obviously have a wide variety of sound there and a style in your guitar playing.
Yeah, I've definitely been heavily influenced by the indie alternative, rock scene of the 90s. Some of one of my like favorite bands is Blonde Redhead.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Yeah. That was like basically a lot of my high school listening was just like listening to KSU late at night when they played all the cool stuff. That's kind of, I would hear that there. A lot of kind of like Matador Records type stuff. I really was into Pavement and Fountains of Wayne, like old Fountains of Wayne, which sadly enough, recently the singer just passed away.
I know.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of 90s indie rock. Obviously a lot of like shoegaze, dream pop, and like basically you put some haunting vocals over some noisy music, and that's pretty much my bread and butter.
Nice.
That's like some of the most beautiful stuff, though, right?
Yeah. Excuse me, for everybody just joining us, for our viewers out there, we're talking to Jerry Lozano from the Trims. They are a local San Jose band, which I think, all five of us to a certain extent have kind of crossed. They are a local San Jose band. What's with the playback? It's weird. That happens sometimes. Anyways, the Trims have been around since 2010. I know that I've been on a couple bills with you guys way back when.
That's what Gabe was telling me.
Yeah. But yeah, we're here to chat with you. For our viewers out there, feel free to ask any questions. We will relay those questions to Jerry. We're very excited to talk to you, Jerry. And
Thank you.
yeah, let's get weird.
Yeah.
So,
Let's
I got
make
a
it
question.
awkward.
I got a question for you, Jerry. What's the timeline on on certain things? Because so I know that the Trims have been around since 2010, but you joined later, correct?
Oh yeah, much later.
Okay.
I think around 2017, 2000, like probably going into 2018. I think when I
Oh,
joined.
cool.
About like yeah, but it's been a couple years now.
And so for the album that you guys have on Spotify here, Julian Street, I'm guessing you're the one featured. You were obviously featured on that album, correct?
No, actually, that album was recorded before I joined.
Oh, gotcha.
Actually, the only thing I'm recorded in so far is the single "Bending Time."
Right.
Oh, cool.
And I was in the video for "Dying Just to See Your Face."
See your
but
face. Yeah.
obviously, I didn't get to do the recordings. Everything was done before I even joined. We're working on another EP at the moment. I can't share too much about it, obviously, but that's gonna obviously I'll be featured pretty heavily on that coming up. Pretty excited to get back in the studio and start recording again. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Julian Street, Gabe did most of the guitar work on that, right? Since they had
He
parted
did,
ways
and
with the guitarist they had before.
I can't remember what their old guitarist name is, but he was on there as well.
Oh, okay. I thought he had already departed by the time they had started working on that.
No, he's on there as well.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Julian Street. I mean, if you're from San Jose, that's such a like
Oh,
obvious
right.
Julian Street. I lived
Right.
off of McKee, which is Julian Street.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, growing up. So for me, it's like it's very I don't know, very comforting. You know what I mean? It's very like of the hometown.
Right. And actually we practiced too in at the practice place off of 10th Street, and like
Oh, okay.
funny, it's like so many things. Like 10th Street is like a hub. Like you can get anywhere basically in San Jose off the 10th
Through
Street.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, for real.
Where are you guys at? Where do you guys practice?
We
When you
practice
get-
by the airport. When we yeah, right now with COVID we can't, but when we do practice, we have a spot that our drummer got for us basically through his other band over by the airport.
Oh, okay. Nice.
It's at Blink Creative Studios. Very cool spot. A few other bands share the space too, so it has that cool aesthetic, with like some of the
Yeah.
banners hanging up.
Go ahead.
There used to be this spot. Are you guys familiar with in Japantown off of Taylor? Where the Gordon Biersch Brewery, not the restaurant, but the actual
Oh, yeah.
brewery.
Behind it. Yeah, behind
Yeah.
it. Divided
Yeah,
used to
there
practice
was
there.
there was a practice. I can't remember what it was called, but there was oh man, that was one of my favorite practice spots. It was like I used to practice.
Yeah.
I've been in actually a few bands that practice and actually ended up in this same room, but oh man, that was like the Taj Mahal of any practice place I'd ever practiced in.
Right.
The room was just huge. You could fit
Right.
4 bands in there like comfortably. That had an amazing built-in PA sound system. Oh, I miss that place so much.
Yeah, that place was awesome. Coincidentally, Zeke and our wives were roommates before we married them. They used to live right behind it, the street right behind that practice
Okay.
place. So I remember we'd always talk about that. We're like, oh, dude, there's bands over there right now,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's right next to a brewery, Convenient. It's very convenient.
That's
Like-
not to change the subject, but that story totally reminds me of when I was playing with you guys about 6 or 7 years ago when you were at Skyway View, and I was just driving around over on the south side, and I see this road. It's called Skyway Drive, and I drove
Yeah.
up of it, and I see this big old view, and I text you, Ruben, and I'm like, "Is this where you got the name for the band?" Kind of.
I remember that. Yeah, that's actually right down the street from where I live right now. It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in San Jose, the 4 of us, as far as the instrumentalists. Mike's down in Burbank. He works and lives in Burbank.
Down south?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, it's quite.
Yeah, they always got to give me a 5-hour heads up before we practice.
Actually, before Brian became an official member, playing guitar with us, he had been filling in for Mike for years now, for like 4 years, doing vocals when we rehearsed. And so it's nice that now he plays the guitar and fills in on the vocals when we rehearse now.
Yeah, and I just sing in an empty room with playback. on
He has
the PA.
cardboard cutouts.
And
of
Mike
us.
just does karaoke, him burping.
Yeah.
One of those ones you can like attach all the arms, together and start dancing along with it.
All the cardboard cutouts, right? We're all doing the robot.
Yeah,
in the background.
I've put together little I've put together little dummy versions of all the band members so I can like pretend to have a band practice with them. I'll be like, Rick, what did you think of that take? Oh wait, never mind.
Yeah.
But interesting.
Sweet, though.
Interestingly enough, what we do is whenever I practice, I do a live feed kind of like this in a private groups, like a private group on Facebook, and like the different members will tune in to just kind of see what I'm up to, and so I do get to say hi to them. It's a very odd thing, but it's charming.
Right. Well, I mean, we do it too, though.
Yeah.
I
We'll
think
submit
it's odd
something
sometimes
too.
we do a little practice and then we put it on so you can watch or practice, or when we're working on new songs or whatever.
Mondo, thanks for the share. Just a shout out to
for,
Mondo for sharing our video cast.
Cool, right on. Yeah.
Yeah. Also a shout out
Yeah,
to
Mondo's he's a cool dude that follows us like constantly on our video thing. So thank you for checking it out, man.
and also a shout out to Maximo for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, Maximo.
Maximo Arvizu.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my stepdad. Hey.
Oh, cool.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So,
Go ahead,
Ruben.
Mike. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was back in 2012, and for a split second, Great America was doing these shows where like local bands could play on this big stage right in the middle of Great America, and like, the band I was in, Drop Dead 60, it was just me and the guitarist at the time, because everybody hates us, so we're always switching out members. But we're like, yeah, we'll do this acoustic show at Great America, and shout out to Barb Rocks for giving us that show. But the Trims were also on that bill with us, so I remember we watched their set at Great America, and then we played a set at Great America, and I just thought, man, it always stuck out to me as like just a really cool like interaction I had with the Trims. And then also when
he relayed that story to me the other day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then I think it was probably Gabe, but when I was an intern at Art Boutique, I was reaching out to a ton of bands about like trying to get their music into Art Boutique to sell. And I remember he came by briefly, and I just had a bit of an interaction with him. But yeah, cool. Small world, I guess.
And especially when you're striving to do projects like this, you're bound to run into people up and down the road, like
San Jose is pretty big, but it's also really small at the same time.
It's really small. Yeah. And especially with you guys, I mean, you guys are traveling all over the place. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we'd be on a bill somewhere down south or up north, at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there any place in particular that you guys like to go when it comes to touring, either with Chilindrina or with the Trims?
Well, I haven't had the opportunity to go that much traveling. We did do South by Southwest, not this, obviously this past one didn't happen, but the previous year we did South by Southwest.
Yeah.
That was we've done there, and I played LA with them once, but mostly it's just been here in San Jose Bay Area so far. But with Chilindrina, oh man, we basically, I think the Pacific Northwest, that's kind of like one of our like just favorite areas to go. We love going up to Seattle. We love going to Oregon. Portland has amazing vegan restaurants and vegan restaurants that are also music venues. And I think for me personally, I think those are my favorite spots to go to. I'm kind of I love the gloomy cold weather.
Yeah.
I'm a old goth girl at heart.
Aren't we all, though? Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Something I was going to bring up was I know you live the vegan lifestyle, so I'm sure you have plenty of good restaurants around here. I know I'm a chef, so I check out some of those spots. I used to work at Google, and there was a big push for the vegan, vegan cooking, and so I used to have to do my research. I'd go to the San Francisco and stuff, and places in Mountain View, and just check out their stuff. And I don't know, is there anything you'd like to plug? Because I think that some of that food is like really delicious, man.
Merit Vegetarian. It's this Chinese restaurant in Sunnyvale. Even though it says vegetarian, it's all vegan.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite spots to go to. There's Happy Hooligans, who actually our original singer from Chandrina, she used to work there for a period of time.
Oh wow.
So we, it was great for us. We always got the family discount.
Yeah. Have you ever checked out a spot called Gracias Madre in San Francisco?
Sounds familiar. It sounds familiar.
They do like a lot of really traditional Mexican food, but it's vegan. So they use cashews instead of the cheese. They do freaking great food, man. I was blown away. I went with a friend before I was really into cooking a lot of the vegan stuff. I went with a friend that was vegan, and I grew up eating Mexican food, so I was real hesitant. I was real, typical, like, I'm not going to like this. I'm not going to like this, And man, I went back there a couple times after that. It was really good. I recommend it if you haven't checked it out. It's in SF.
I think that was like one of my favorite things is like, I became vegan about maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And before that, I was like vegetarian for, I don't know, like 15 years or something like that.
Yeah.
That's
hardcore, dude. That's hardcore.
Yeah. I've always been, I'm not like a chef or a professional, like, cook or anything like that. But I love just cooking and trying, discovering new recipes and trying to find all those things that I used to love, when I wasn't vegetarian, and trying to find ways to convert them into things that I can eat. It's great. It's great. That's, if you're not vegan and you're like, maybe you're not even necessarily trying to be vegan, but you're just, curious and you just want to try something new. That's always like a great way to start, is just find things that you like already and try to find ways to convert them into, more in a plant-based way.
Well, the ideals have come so far too. Being vegetarian and vegan has gotten so much popular, and
definitely
as myself, it's amazing the things that they've come up with to make substitutions for stuff. Well, I'm at work and I had this other chef who was really great with vegan food, and he's like, oh, okay, we got to do this and do this today. I'm like, all right, that sounds fun. He's like, but you got to make it vegan. It's like, but
it's challenging but fun, right? Yeah.
But but it's excellent too, because it's come in strides. There's so many chefs who've been working on this stuff, and even from like making soy-free soy sauce, it's really amazing the things that people come up with to make this food taste really good.
It's made huge leaps and bounds, even like since like 2012. Back around 2012, I was in it was like a grindcore power violence band called Buried at Birth, and we did a lot of heavy touring. We hit the East Coast, we hit the specific, the Midwest, the West Coast. Back then was way harder to find places to eat than
sure.
Now it's like you could find options and like even restaurants that aren't necessarily vegan.
Right.
True.
And a lot of it's our area too. Obviously, living in the Bay Area with as much culture we do and as many people as we do. I mean, I'm sure there's still plenty of places you could tour in the U.S. where you're not going to find good vegan food.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I remember going to Atlanta, and there was like actually a lot of amazing vegan restaurants over there.
Nice.
I got to check out Andre 3000 from
Outcast, right? Yeah.
Outcast.
Yeah.
Vegan, and his favorite. He has a soul food spot. It's called Soul Food Number 2.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I got to check that spot out in Atlanta. It was amazing. I got to try it was a vegan chicken fried steak with like macaroni and cheese and mashed potatoes.
Oh wow.
And I wish I could just go back there.
Yeah. Have you tried Trejo's Tacos yet?
Which were?
Trejo's Tacos in LA?
No.
It's good.
I've been wanting to check them out, dude. It's Danny Trejo's taco spot, man. It's
It's all
Danny.
Yeah. Okay, now
Yeah.
you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to check it out yet.
Right in the heart of Hollywood there.
Mike's
That
lucky,
guy's
man. He
really
gets to go there whenever he wants.
that guy's really branching out, right? Doesn't he have a donut shop too?
He does. Yeah.
Dude, that guy's got branding power, man. We need him to join the band, dude.
Machete.
There's actually a lot of from here in the Bay Area too. A lot of good pop-ups that do traditional like Mexican street style tacos. There's La Chancita, and then there's also De La Tierra. They do like amazing vegan tamales. You can just look them up on the internet. Google La Chancita and De La Tierra. I think both of those are based out of the San Francisco area, but they do two pop-ups here at San Jose, like at the what's that?
Try with
Vegan donut gelato. There's like I think it's called Vegan Donut Gelato.
That's an awesome title, right?
Yeah, it's on Santa Clara Street. And then there's also Cinnaholics. So both of those, they'll do pop-ups, and they go there. So if you're interested, just keep an eye out.
Oh wow.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it just amazes me, man, how like creative and innovative people are when it comes to their art, be it food, gastronomy or music,
Yeah, for sure.
I delve in a little bit of both worlds. So does Brian. So, I definitely can appreciate that stuff, man. That's cool. So I was going to ask you, with you guys' new EP, I know you guys can't really talk about it a whole lot, but do you guys, depending on if you guys can play out or whatever, are you guys planning on doing a big release somewhere?
Unfortunately, we can't.
I mean,
things are so unsure right now. So we would love to say, yeah, there's going to be we're having a huge release party, but yeah, we're just kind of like, even right now, like between our members, we're still kind of figuring out what we're doing.
Have you guys had a chance to like play via like Zoom or Skype or anything, or
you guys practicing or
kind of like been exchanging tracks back and forth, just not the Zoom, but just like emailing tracks and sending things back and forth.
That's cool, man. I mean, with the time, I don't know if you're necessarily off of work like a lot of people are, or you still have to work and shelter in place, but I think it's definitely a good time to work into those creative outlets right now,
Yeah,
if you have
actually,
time.
I've spent the past couple of months basically teaching myself music production with our new EP that Chilindrina just recorded. We did all the tracking, but then in this time, I'm like, well, I got all this time, I'm not working right now, so I've been YouTubing, Googling, researching, and through that I actually got some pretty good mixes, and then I'm sitting on the mixes. I'm like, you know what? I can teach myself to master. I mean, obviously they tell you, if you're doing the mixing,
send it to someone else to master it.
Yeah, send it to someone else. But I mean, what else am I, who knows
got
what's
time,
happening?
you can figure it out, right? Yeah. You can do it a million times if you need to, because you're doing it, right?
Exactly. So yeah,
That's cool,
I did
man.
that, and it's sounding right now. It's to me, it sounds pretty much how I imagined it in my head when we were writing these songs.
Oh,
so
cool.
I'm pretty happy with it so far. I think at this point, we're just bouncing back between. We're a three-piece right now. Me, Gloria, and our drummer Sean. So we're just kind of bouncing back our notes. So just getting the finishing touches, and then
right, just the last polish, right? That's cool.
Exactly.
That's awesome, man. It's powerful being able to be a trio, right? Because you could just kind of bounce those ideas quick. When you travel, you just get in a car and go.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yep. That's what we want. We want to be able to be as smallest footprint as possible. Like you said, just be able to get three of us in a van, and maybe our guitars, and just bring a snare drum and our
cymbals, right? Yeah, exactly. That's awesome, dude. That's very cool.
Don't encourage him to downsize.
Brian's all, hey, where's everybody at? Right?
As soon as it's over, dude. It's like, so hey guys, we've been thinking we could go with the 4-piece.
Before we know it, Rick's gonna go solo, man. It's just gonna be Rick on a harmonica and drums. That's it, dude. Yeah, our drummer.
We've done shows without a drummer before, with just me and Gloria.
That's
cool.
We
have all the recorded drum tracks. So
right.
There's been times
so you were able to do playback and stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah. Fortunately for us, Gloria and I live together, so
I was gonna say, right? You guys have a lot
we
of
can
chemistry. You
practice
can play
whenever.
together. Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I went and saw. I'm not proud of saying this. Let me restart this. I took my ex-girlfriend's daughter to a concert, and 21 Pilots were playing, and like the whole thing is tracked. Like the guy sits at a piano for like opening, and then the two guys like run off, and like just everything is tracked, or he's just playing bass guitar and everything.
Everything is played back.
It's like drums, guitars, keys. It's like this guy's just jamming in his bedroom by himself with YouTube or something.
next show, he's just gonna be phoning it in.
But
right, it's gonna be Zoom, just projected on the thing. It's crazy.
We did talk about trying to do a little bit of that with the parts where it's impossible to play guitar and keys at the same time.
Yeah.
But then we divide keyboard duties. So now Brian and I are both playing keyboards.
Right. But there's still
it's pretty common. I mean, I've seen it a lot. Actually, Gloria and I, on our honeymoon, we went up to Portland, and we just happened to be able to be there while Blonde Redhead was playing at a theater there.
Awesome.
And they don't have, and they're just a 3-piece. And that's basically what they did for the bass, is they just had tracking on that.
I'm going to tell you, I hate being a musician when it comes to going to a show like that. And my wife always tells me, just stop, you're ruining it for me. Because I'm like, wait a minute, I hear horns. I don't see a horn player. Like, hey, man, I hear a harmony. No one's singing in the mic other than the singer.
Right.
She like elbows me in the stomach and is like, stop, dude. But then now she's like, hey, I think that's playback. Like, they're not singing harmonies, and I can hear a harmony,
Well, it's also like being a chef, right? And then you critique the shit out of the food when you go sit down. You're like, oh,
that's so true, man.
Like this plating is terrible.
Or not just that. Like I'll look at something and I'm like, man, I know how much it costs to make that. I ain't gonna pay that.
I think when you do something so much and it's just a part of your life, that's natural. Like
it is.
She works in glasses. She's been
constantly
doing glasses
bugging
for
my
like
wife
5 years. So
errors whenever we
everywhere she goes, she's always like calling people out for it. Oh, those glasses, this and oh, those are that. And just when you're passionate about something, it's hard to not pick it apart.
It's hard to turn it off, right? Yeah.
Right.
Jerry, what'd you say?
Oh, I was just saying,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk
always
over you.
bugging my wife about continuity errors when we're watching like a movie or a show or something.
Oh yeah.
Right.
If shots don't hook up, or if
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I know in animation, you did that at one of your first jobs, right, Mike? Where you had to do like, what was it, like tracking? We had to make sure stuff carried over.
That's me now too.
Yeah, you're like, hey, man, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole department for that kind of thing, that there's a whole department that does retakes and revisions and has to make sure that there's no continuity errors and stuff. So yeah, it's a whole thing. It's painful. Yeah. It's a painful thing.
My favorite continuity error, I think in modern day that I've enjoyed and I always pointed out, and I actually watched this movie just to see that scene, is this scene in Napoleon Dynamite where Napoleon calls home to get a chapstick, and like his brother's eating nachos, and you can see the cheese is like this high, and the next scene it's like down here, and then the next scene it's like in the middle, and then it's low again.
Right.
You had one job, dude.
Have you seen American History X?
Yeah.
Remember, so it's the scene where Edward Furlong, he gets basically blown away in a bathroom.
Right.
Yeah.
So remember he's holding his report that he had just written, before he's like, I'm a huge Nazi because my brother's a Nazi, but then he finds the error of his ways and he writes his report, and then he ends up getting, shot in a bathroom. So he's holding it, he gets shot, you see it gets thrown from his hand. It's the paste spill out everywhere. But then the next scene, he's laying in, against the wall, all bloody, and he's still holding it.
See, that's the kind of dude that if he falls with his beer in his hand, nothing spills. Nothing spills, dude. He manages to figure it out,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. See, that's like on a whole other level there, dude. Like I would have never caught that. Never ever caught that.
I love things like that. Or like if you catch something weird, like if you heard or you've seen the ghost kid in 3 Men and a Baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
I remember I taped it off of USA just for that scene so I could watch it and slow it down. It's crazy.
Man, I when I was a kid, I had so many movies filmed off of USA, like Friday. I love that version better than the original. Because they say stuff like, forget about it, or whatever. Forget you.
Weekend at
instead.
Bernie's, Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I remember doing that with Basic Instinct, pausing it and slow about. Wait, is that what I thought?
I think I kind of see it. I don't know what I'm looking for because I'm a little kid, but I think I see it,
Video stores said they had to replace that movie so much because the tape would on that part. Everyone pausing it at home and rewinding it and shit. I'll stretch then.
That's funny, dude.
Oh man.
So Jerry, one of the things that's going around Facebook right now, which is kind of always going around, is it asks people to post their most influential albums, and this is one thing I like to partake in because I like music. So what would be like 5 albums that are extremely influential for you or important or that you just cannot live without?
We're going high fidelity on you here, man.
Yeah, going to high fidelity top 5.
Yeah.
So my probably number 1 would be Depeche Mode, Violator. That when I was like 9 or 10 years old, that's when I came out. Every time the video for Enjoy the Silence would come on MTV, me as like a 10-year-old, I would just be like enthralled. I would be like, whatever I was doing in the living room, I would stop what I was doing and just stare intently at the TV screen. That album's like a huge influence on me. My dad was really into it, oddly enough. So he's kind of the one who introduced me to Depeche Mode.
That's awesome.
And then I would say probably Blonde Redhead's Misery is a Butterfly. Phantomas.
Nice.
I'm blanking on the album, but it's the one with all the movie themes on it. Director's Cut. Phantomas Director's Cut. Mr. Bungle, California.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Mike Patton guy here. I appreciate that, man.
Right.
Yep. I actually met him.
Oh, cool.
They played. So are you guys familiar with the Dillinger Escape Plan?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, he did that EP with them. They performed it actually. Do you guys remember the Pound in San Francisco?
Yeah.
So I saw them. They performed the whole EP there, and Mike Patton did the Aphex Twin cover with them. So he was it was a surprise. Like they were just there, playing, and Mike Patton just happened to be there at the show. He did I Want Your Soul. It was great. It went nuts. And then after the show, I stuck around and I totally fanboyed out. I met him. I had him. I just found this scrap piece of paper on the ground, and I was like, "Will you please sign this for me?" I'm like, "Oh my God, you're my hero!" And he's like, "Oh, come on."
Nice.
He's like, "Don't be that guy, man."
That was my Geek Boy fan out moment.
That's awesome.
Let's see what else. Helium's The Dirt of Luck, and Deftones Adrenaline.
Excellent.
Cool. That's old school, man.
I obviously I can't, I can go on for hours about.
Right.
But those are probably those are the ones that are just sticking out to me right now.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, a bunch of Deftone fans around here, that's for sure.
Right. We love the Deftones, man. Yeah.
So you went really old school with the Deftones. Did you ever Did you ever like their transition into the way they sound now? Were there albums that you didn't feel so much?
I mean, to be honest, after what was it? I think was it the self-titled one? I think that it was with the roses and the skull.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way up into there, I dug everything they did, but then I didn't necessarily grow out of them or dislike anything after that. I just I didn't really pay attention, I guess. I mean, not anything like they did anything wrong or I didn't like. I just, I kind of fell off the radar, I guess.
Yeah.
That's
everything
changed,
before
right?
that, still I loved everything they did. I think just to me, when I tell this to Gloria all the time, I always tell her the story. When I was I picked up the guitar when I was 14, 40 years old now. I picked it up when I was 14, and around that's what was 94. All the bands, everyone, all the bands that everybody idolized at the time were tall, skinny, lanky white dudes. And then like Deftones Adrenaline hit, and I'm like, holy shit, there's some like chubby Mexican dudes playing music and everybody's fucking loving that. And like that, like before that, I didn't think I would ever like, I just thought like, I'm just playing guitar. Like I'm too shy. Nobody's ever going to pay attention to me, but that, like, I saw that and was like, I can do this. I could be in a band and people will pay attention to it. So I think it just that when that album came out for me, it just kind of opened my eyes to, but hey, you can be involved.
Like an infomercial. You can play the guitar.
Huh?
Yeah. Like an infomercial, right? You could play the guitar,
Exactly.
I used to always get told that I reminded people of Steph all the time. I mean, I was a huge Deftones fan, so it wasn't a big thing, but I was like, I guess I could see that, right? Exactly. I used to have really long hair when he had really long hair, so.
So did I. I used to have dread.
Oh yeah, damn.
Oh,
yeah.
That's some commitment, dude. That's some maintenance there.
Well,
a lot of maintenance.
Actually, even before that whole new metal scene, like I had long hair and I braided it and then I didn't, I let it kink out and I just shredded it up. I wasn't necessarily trying to like,
you just forgot to wash it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You were ahead of the trend, basically. So like
you lost your comb and forgot to wash it.
Yeah, the trend caught up to you, man. That's what happened,
I was the only one at the time in my high school with dreads, and then one of my best friends that I met at the time, he was the only other dude with dreads, and then like we saw each other's hair at first. It was like,
showdown, like a showdown. There could only be one.
Like we became best friends, and I never saw dreads again until like 2000s, and now it's like everybody's got the man bun or
right, yeah.
No.
You guys didn't have to Highlander one another, basically, so that's
exactly.
good. That's good, yeah. That could have been tough. There could be two, right? Yeah. So
we have a no man bun clause in this band.
We do.
Yeah.
I almost
actually all had to
here's
sign
there. Yeah.
Good to know.
We had our lawyer draw up a thing, we had to sign. What's it called? One of the things that I think I really dig about the stuff you do, man, is your effects, dude. I'm a big effects guy. So I don't know. Do you mind talking about your effects a little bit, dude?
Having this band is just to be able to play with the pedals.
Right, dude. Exactly. It like justifies having like a rig and like pedals and like all that noisy stuff,
Exactly. Yep. I just like, dude, I'm always like, pedals aside, the guitars, I'm always making some kind of noise. I have like some weird, fidgety problem. I'm always drumming on something, pounding on myself, humming something, making weird noise. I don't even know it. I don't even realize I'm doing it. But yeah, and then you put a board of pedals in front of me and a guitar, I'm happy as a pig in slop.
That's awesome. It's funny. I noticed now that I've been getting older, people will point out, what song is that you're humming? And I'm like, holy shit, I'm humming? What?
Yeah.
It's so weird how that just happens all of a sudden,
That's Gloria pretty much every couple hours. Jared, what are you saying?
Can you talk a little bit about your pedals? Like, what do you like using, man? What kind of stuff do you like using?
I'm a huge fan of Earthquaker devices. They make
cool. Yeah.
Amazing sounding stuff. I'm a huge fan of fuzz. I don't really venture too much into like like rotary stuff or like things that kind of like what do you call it, like phasers or things like that.
Yeah.
I like things that create space, I guess, like a lot of delay, a lot of reverb, obviously. And I guess you could say the secret weapon I have on my arsenal is my super ego. It's like kind of like a synth engine type.
Yeah.
Thing. You can kind of like, and it's basically like, for me, it's like infinite sustain. Like you play a chord and it just you don't hear the break and the strumming. It's just a constant sound.
Lush sound,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That's awesome. I just saw recently they have this thing. It's like a sustain pedal, but for the guitar now, like what you would see on like a piano. You know what I mean? Like that kind of sustain pedal.
Yeah.
I'm interested in checking it out, man. I'm a big gearhead, so I mean, I like messing with a bunch of weird shit. Like there's a movie called Spinal Tap where one of the guitarists is always fucking with weird stuff. And people used to always make fun of me in bands. They'd be like, "That's totally you, fucking rubbing a rubber chicken on a violin or a violin on the guitar." You know,
You're gonna have your amp so it can go to 11.
11, exactly. Yeah, totally. What kind of amps do you rock, man? What do you prefer? Like,
You know what? So before I had the amp that I have now, I was always looking for like an amp that had a lot like good booming low end, but that was really, really like basically like, what do you call it? Like no tone, like just blank. So everything, like all my tone basically comes from my guitar and my pedals and the speakers basically.
yeah.
So I came up on a what is this? It's called AIMS, AIMS is the company. It's called a Dual 12. It's basically, so Fender and Sun, there was like two disgruntled employees, one from Fender, one from Sun. They went off, split off, and started their own company called AIMS, and they came up with the Dual 12. And it's basically a combination of a Fender and a Sun amp. It's got like that clean tone of like Fender, but it's loud as shit. Super boomy, super bassy, and just totally clean, like just blank canvas. And all my tone, my sound comes from my pedals, my guitars. Just it's the perfect kind of like, I've used it for like, like metal, punk, like any like indie, and it's just super versatile. That's basically what I've always been looking for in an amp.
Right. Something that doesn't have any coloration of your sound. It's just there to amplify and just transmit what you're trying to get, That's awesome.
Like I've beat the shit out of it. I've taken it on tour. It's been rattling around the back of vans, like buses, like, and it just keeps going. I haven't even changed the tubes in it. I've had it for like probably 4 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I change my tubes when they go out. I never change them, seriously. The only time I ever do is when I need to. That's it,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Jerry, I believe we're almost to time. We would like to thank you, especially for being on the show and chatting with us. It's been an awesome experience. Get to know more about you, get to know more about you as a musician, as a person. We'd like to take this opportunity for you to go ahead and show everybody where you can find your music, direct ourselves and the people at home watching us to where we can find your stuff.
So you can go to thetrims.net. That's where basically our internet hub. You can find all our links, all our Facebook, Instagram, all our links on that website, thetrims.net. For Chilindrina, go to Chilindrina Noise Pop. Is basically our on Facebook / Chilindrina Noise Pop, all one word. That's where you'll find, that's basically our internet hub. You'll find our links to Instagram and music. But right now, from our last EP, we only have 2 songs up because we don't really play the rest of it anymore. We've gone through a really big transition. We're going into a heavier, noisier sound, and so our new recordings are reflecting that. So as soon as we've decided what we're gonna do, you'll see those links up. But just keep an eye on that. Chilindrina Noise Pop. Yeah, those are the 2 main places to find everything.
And they can find you on YouTube too?
For the Trims, yeah, you can find us on YouTube. Chilindrina, we don't really have. I have like a couple like old performances from our first 3 shows or something like that. I wouldn't bother with them. But we will start as soon as the world starts picking up again. We'll start putting more video content. Definitely.
Right. As soon as we're allowed.
Instagram.
Right.
Right on.
We're
Thank
looking
you so
forward
much,
to it.
man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun, man.
Yeah, it's been great, dude. It's been great talking vegan, talking pedals, talking music, man.
All my favorite.
You're a class act, man, as always, man.
Talking
awesome.
continuity between shots.
Right. We really appreciate you taking time, man. Seriously, man. We look forward to sharing the stage with you guys, Chilindrina, the Trims, at some point when we finally can, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a good night, man. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right, Jerry.